They say choose your battles. They say don't stoop to their level. Be the bigger person. Ignore them. They're not worth it. And maybe that's true once or twice. But what happens when it's not just once? What happens when the disrespect is quiet, subtle, casual, but constant? It's the way they cut you off when you speak, the way they laugh at your ideas, the way they use sarcasm like a shield to hide real insults, the way they never take you seriously unless someone more important is around. And you feel it. You always feel it. That tightness in your chest, that voice in your head that says, did they really just say that? But instead of speaking up, you freeze. You laugh it off. You play it cool. You pretend you're not bothered. Because you don't want drama. You don't want to seem too sensitive. You don't want to be labeled as the one who can't take a joke. So you let it slide. Again and again. And you convince yourself it's strength. That letting it go is maturity. That not reacting makes you noble. That staying silent means you're in control. But let's tell the truth. Sometimes silence isn't strength. Sometimes silence is fear. Sometimes silence is self-betrayal. And deep down, you know it. You go home after those moments, and it eats at you. You replay the scene in your head 100 times. You think of what you should have said, what you could have done, but you didn't. And you hate that feeling. You feel small. You feel invisible. You feel like you let yourself down. And here's the hard truth. Every time you let someone disrespect you and say nothing, you teach them how to treat you. You teach them that you'll tolerate it. You teach them that your comfort, your dignity, your voice is optional. You think you're keeping the peace, but what you're really doing is slowly losing pieces of yourself. And it doesn't start with some big dramatic insult. It starts small. The joke that cuts a little too deep. The comment that makes your stomach turn. The subtle way they dismiss your opinion. And when you let it go, it grows. They push a little more next time, then a little more, until one day you realize the version of you they treat like a joke is the only version of you they ever see. And you wonder, how did it get like this? But here's the thing. You don't need to explode. You don't need to fight fire with fire. You don't need to match disrespect with disrespect. You just need to decide, I won't accept this anymore. That one sentence, that's power. Not yelling, not proving yourself. Just a calm, solid boundary that says, this isn't okay with me. And no, that doesn't mean people will change overnight. Some won't like it. Some will call you difficult. Some will try to guilt you for standing up for yourself. Because when you start demanding respect, the people who benefited from your silence will call you the problem. But that's not your problem. Your problem is you've been shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. And that ends now. Because the truth is, respect doesn't come from being nice. It doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being clear. Clear about what you accept. Clear about what you deserve. Clear about what you will no longer tolerate. You think staying quiet is keeping you safe. But what it's really doing is keeping you stuck. And let's be honest, this isn't about them anymore. It's about you, your self-worth, your boundaries, your voice. So, is letting people disrespect you and doing nothing about it a good thing or a bad thing? It depends. If you're doing it because you're choosing peace over pettiness, maybe that's strength. But if you're doing it because you're scared of confrontation, scared of being judged, scared of losing people who already don't respect you, then that's weakness disguised as maturity. There's a difference between peace and passivity. Peace is earned. Passivity is fear. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard, but you do need to value yourself enough to say, no more. Because every time you stand up for yourself, even just a little, you remind yourself, I matter. My feelings matter. My space matters. My presence is not something people get to treat like it's disposable. And That's how you take your power back. Not by fighting, not by proving, just by refusing to stay silent when your dignity is on the line. And once you do that, they'll either start treating you with the respect you've always deserved, or they'll leave. Either way, you win.